Today's topic is about the 4 steps to heal trauma in your body. So how to do that. First of all, I want to get into why. Why do we want to heal trauma in our bodies, and why is it so important? So basically what's happening is when we store trauma in our bodies, is that on some level this trauma is still part of co-creating our reality. So the trauma itself is consciousness, right? It's a living energy. So this energy may be blocking you and may not be a nice energy, but it's still alive inside you. So let's say you, for example, had, as we all had, some traumatic experiences in our childhood, and some of them may be like really big and some of them may just be small, like we didn't got the present that we wished for Christmas, but our brother got it and then we felt rejected, so or it can be like we've been screamed at, maybe something that's a little more intense in our nervous system, so we've been just screamed at as a child. And so what happens is that energy of that scream, on some level, if we are not processing it instantly or in the right way, is going to get trapped in our body, and it's going to stay there until we release it. And in our neural nets, what's going to happen is that whenever we experience a situation that somehow reminds us to that initial trauma, we're going to go into a reactive state of a trigger response to respond to that, because we want to defend that pain rather than actually going into that pain. And that's why this work is really amazing in relationships, I mean, I can attest to that. It's like, do we choose to go into the trigger and close down, or do we choose to open up? And why it's so beautiful in relationships is because it is going to take you deeper. It's easier to close down if the cashier woman or someone in the counter was rude, and you're like, oh my god, they're so rude, and then you're just like, oh whatever, or someone cuts you when you're driving and you get triggered by it, but then it's easier to just push it away, right? Rather than to actually be present with it, because hello Paige, welcome. So when you're in a relationship, you actually have to go deeper into it. And it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It can be with your friends or so on. But I feel this is a whole other topic that I'm eventually going to do a live on if people are interested. So first of all, I want to know, so basically going back to why do we want to heal this trauma is because it is on some level stuck in our body, and it is going to manifest in our external reality, and it's going to keep us disconnected. It's going to create fragmentation in our mind, and that's what, when people experience the monkey mind, it's actually a lot of different traumas or like fragments that are playing out that haven't been brought back into wholeness. And from that space, we're going to be feeling on some level disconnected to our body, to our heart, to the divine. And, when we are feeling disconnected in life, it's going to be more difficult to create our dreams, to manifest what we want, and just to simply experience joy and love, right? So first of all, I want to know who here feels they have experienced trauma and they know, and it doesn't, as I said before, it doesn't have to be something massive, and you can just say yes. You don't have to say what it is. If you're watching the replay, #replay yes. And yeah, it can be something really simple, but it's something that maybe on some level is still there. So I just want to see where people are at with that. So please give me some yeses here. If you are watching the replay, yes, or some thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. And I want to as well know who feels that they're still holding trauma in their body. So as well, if you feel you're still holding trauma in your body, just yes, thumbs up. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay yes. Okay, thank you for responding. I'm getting some yeses here. So I think it's really important to be aware of that. And I mean, usually the people I work with, they know they are on a certain level, but it's still nice to understand and to acknowledge that we have that. So I want to as well highlight the point of the importance of really doing this healing work, of going within and healing our trauma. Because it's not only going to affect our manifestation and our dream life, but eventually what trauma in the body, in the physical, really creates fight or flight. So we're going to be constantly living in a vibration of fight or flight. It may be really high, it may be like at 100%, it may be at 10%. Like I can say that I definitely sometimes go into fight or flight or into the rushing. I can feel it in my life, and because I know I've worked with it, I know how to bring myself out of it, you know, and it can be different levels. But if we are in a frequency of fight or flight, it's extremely stressful for our bodies, like very, very stressful, and we are probably not going to be fully present in our body and in our reality, and we're probably tensing in some areas, and then through that tension we can even eventually like manifest sicknesses or so on. I mean, it can go down depending to what of an extent it is that we are holding on to that trauma, because the tension that we create is literally a holding on and an inability to surrender and to open up, to feel safe, to allow it to release. So it's going to block ourselves on so many levels in our lives. And as we as well seen, you have said there have been some beautiful yeses, and we all hold some level of trauma. It may be really severe or it may be not so severe. And something that I as well want to highlight that is really important, that for example, for me as a child, my father used to always scream at me. And that was very, very extremely traumatic. And it took me a long time to release that fear. For me, what it created was a response of freeze. So I literally felt so scared and I didn't even want to move. So that was my response, you know. And for some others, maybe their parent could have hit them. Some maybe could have experienced like a high level of physical abuse, and yet the way how they react and how the trauma feels like for them could be the same as for me, that I experienced, you know, my father screaming at me, because I was very highly sensitive already as a child, and all of us children are more sensitive, right? But I was so highly sensitive that it really affected me on such a deep level, and took me a long time to finally be able to just free myself from that fear and that stuck energy, and be able to, you know, heal that relationship with the masculine. I mean, it wasn't directly with my father, because we have like let's say a balanced relationship. It's not necessarily very deep, but it's in harmony. So we do have that. It wasn't that there was a big thing between us because of that, but it was manifesting in many areas in my life, right? And even what represents the masculine energy, it presents structure, it can present money, it can present our businesses. So many things represent, not present. So, you know, just want to say that why it's so important to heal it, and that it can manifest in different ways. So a little thing can be a big thing. Okay, so does that make sense? Can you relate to that? Do you understand what I'm talking about, and understand how this is creating like your reality on some level? I just want to see some thumbs, some yeses. Okay, thank you. People are understanding it. And as well, if you're just hopping on, and again, if you're watching the replay, please hashtag replay. And as well, if there's anything while I'm sharing, hi Freya, thank you for being here today. So if there's anything for you coming up while I am sharing, please just go ahead, make a comment, pop in a question. I'll look through it every once in a while. So, all right. Now, I'm having some notes here. That's why I'm looking in, because I want to make sure that I'm covering all the topics. Now, as we have covered that of understanding why this is so extremely important, and really, as well, you know, thinking about what it costs you not to do that healing, because sometimes we can be like, I don't have time right now. I want to do something else. I need to take care about my business. I need to take care of my children. I need to take care of my relationship. I need to work. I don't have time. I do not have time. And thank you, Freya. Thank you. And or I don't have money, you know, because as well, it's often you want to probably get help to go deeper and to go faster, and there can be all the reasons, but please contemplate a moment on what it's costing you not to do the work. If you say, I'm too busy with my children, how is this going to affect your children if you're holding trauma in your body and probably on some level releasing it out on them, and then they reflecting to you the trauma so that you're getting triggered? I mean, ultimately, all of life is just designed for you to go within and heal the things so you can create what it is that you came here to do and to be. And that's probably the thing that you are as well dreaming about, if you are living in alignment. So, you know, what is it costing you not to heal it? Is going to be stressful. There's going to be a lot of roadblocks. That can be like, I mean, sometimes I'm talking to people and they're constantly struggling, experiencing things. Like the other day I spoke to a woman and she was sharing with me how she's had this abortion, and then she lost all her money, and then she doesn't have a home. And it's like, the roller coaster effect is, the more we are not paying attention and doing the work, the more it is going to happen in our lives, and try to remind us. You know, so really there's almost not even a no to doing this work. And I want everyone to know that this work doesn't have to be deeply intense. Often people are really scared to work with their traumas. They even like, you almost can't even put that word somewhere, because people get like trauma or inner child work, they like have this resistance response, and except of if there are a certain level of understanding, because it feels really scary. But the truth is, the scary thing already happened. The scary thing is the moment when the trauma is imprinted, and it already happened. So when you go into the healing of it, it's not that scary anymore, but the mind makes it that scary because it doesn't want to go back there. So it's just really important. This is very, very important. Is everyone getting this piece? Like, I just want to make sure that people understand, so we can release that fear. So please just some thumbs up if you are understanding this, if you're getting the importance of this work, that we cannot procrastinate anymore. And as well, if you're watching the replay, please let me know. All right. So I have created these 4 steps for you. Thank you for your yeses and thumbs up. I have created these 4 steps for you that I've been using in my life. They work very efficiently and beautifully, and for you to use whenever you want, whenever things are coming up. And so what has happened to me, and I'm just going to share that really openly and vulnerably, and it's really fresh, but I feel good to share it, and that's why I came up with this video. Okay, so recently I got mugged on when I was in nature on the river, and we were with a couple of friends, and I got mugged with a gun. And luckily we didn't had any things, any valuables with us. They just took our bag. It was actually more or less, one could say, seamless, and they didn't hurt us, but it was obviously very scary and quite traumatizing. And what happened for me, my first response after that was just like, I went obviously into fight or flight, and I came out of the state and I felt quite disorientated, and I felt very numb. So that are already 2 signs for me, like feeling disorientated and feeling numb. Numbness is a sign that there's something there. So it could have been really easy for me to be like, wow, that was really intense. Okay, it's fine though. Let's just go ahead with life. I mean, yes, because like it was intense, and in the same time it went really fast. And actually there were some other people there, and I think their reaction was kind of like that. It's okay, let's just let it go. And that's often what we do. And just bringing that as an invitation for you, in any situations in your life where you experience something and then you're like, wow, okay, but it's fine, I'm just gonna continue with my life, it's okay. So I could have really done that, but I didn't, obviously, because I'm clever. No, and because I understand this work and how important it is. So the first step of what I did, and what is so important to heal trauma in our body, is to fully really be with it and to feel it. And as I said before, I was feeling quite numb, so I couldn't really feel it yet, but I knew that the feeling is going to come if I just stay with it. And sometimes, again, it can be a bit scary, like you don't want to stay with it, you want to go ahead, you want to do something else, you want to distract yourself. So the invitation is, no, just be with it. And if you are just being with it, it's going to open up. So it's like, okay, this is here. I'm going to be with it. I'm going to be with the numbness. Even being with numbness can feel really weird, right? Because you kind of feel disconnected. You're not fully in your body, and it's like you don't want to be with that. It's like, okay, this doesn't feel really nice, but I know this is not my true self. I know who I am. I know how I usually feel. So I'm just going to be with it. So I stayed with it until finally I could start to feel the feelings. It was like, okay, wow. And then I went into some processing. I was crying and I was feeling the things, and I started to feel the anxiety and the tension in my shoulders and all the places where it manifested for me, right? So I allowed myself to really be with it and feel it. Okay, so important. Yeah, the feeling is healing. This is step 1. Step 2, from being able to feel and open up, then going out into moving and into shaking or into dancing. It depends what kind of trauma it is as well. So for me, I really just needed to shake. I needed to go onto the earth and shake so I could release that, because I went into flight mode, so I could release that flight energy out of my system. Something that I as well recommend highly, especially with sexual trauma, sexual abuse, and sexual trauma, doesn't have to be necessarily that it was on a physical level. It could have been in many different ways. It could have been energies, it can be looks. Honestly, it just depends how sensitive we are. We all hold that trauma on some level. I have worked with this a lot, even though I hadn't experienced the physical form of abuse, but there were so many other ways of abuse for men and for women. Even my beloved Gabriel, he has worked with this a lot. So this is not just only for women. People always like, you know, is often like put as women's work, but it's for men too. So what I feel is really deeply healing for that is movement and doing sensual movements, moving the hips. And sometimes it can feel really stuck because there's shame. So we actually don't want to go there. We don't want to move our hips and feel that sensual movement because it almost creates a trigger of reminding us to that energy, whatever it is. So I invite you to do it, especially if it's like that, or if you have a freeze, a trauma where you've been in freeze. And what I shared before that I had, like my father screaming at me, put me into freeze. The opposite of that is just shaking, and really in the shaking, like even, you know, putting your hands up, out, and through that you actually expanding your energy field out, and it's like you're releasing and pushing doing these movements, you're releasing and pushing the trauma out. And yes, that's what I've been doing, you know. It's like you feel that fear, the scare, so I have been doing that. But it was really important for me at the beginning to go first into just being and feeling, so I can come into that vulnerable state rather than instantly responding to shaking it out or to boxing it out or whatever, cause then maybe on some level I would disconnect from that soft and vulnerable space, if that makes sense. So please let me know, you all, if that makes sense to you. If if there's something that ever is like really deeply resonating, I would I invite you to just make little love hearts so I can see that you're receiving that, you're feeling that, it's supporting and helping you. All right. So that are the first two steps. So then the third step is to give yourself spaciousness. So you have been in the feeling, you have cried, you have felt it. And by the way, for me, this is something that happened and I worked with this instantly, but you can do that as well if it's a trauma that is really ancient, that has been there for a long time, and you know the trauma. So just give yourself some space to be really present with it, so you can open the portals for the things to come up. It may be a little more challenging if it has been there for a very long time because it's buried under deeper levels, but it's possible. It just takes that beingness and that maybe silent space. If you can't be silent because you have so many thoughts, even just focusing your energy on it and inviting it can already help. Okay, so the third step is spaciousness, right? So you have done the feeling, the being, the moving, the shaking, and then just allowing more spaciousness again, so that you can feel and see if there's more coming up. Yeah, and in my experience, I didn't want to just go ahead and be really busy. So that's another thing, you know. Hi Brian, nice to see you here. So that's another thing, you know. You can just go ahead, be like, okay, I did some of the healing, I'm just gonna go ahead and be really busy now. And then maybe there's still some residue things that haven't been fully cleared. So it doesn't mean don't do anything. Like for me now, I'm actually still in my spaciousness time after what happened. Obviously, yes, I'm here today in this life and I'm working, I'm doing things. But my main focus at the moment is to just allow some space so that everything that I experienced, that I healed, can really integrate in my being, and I can as well feel that I'm already more connected, I'm more grounded, my heart is more open, and I like to walk a lot on the earth, be really present, breathe. So I can really feel if there's something. Yeah, the other night I woke up and I saw the vision again of the incident that happened, and then I felt a little anxious, and I was just allowing myself to be with that and to feel it. Yeah, so not pushing anything away. It's fine. It's going to go away. You know, it's really important that we are not scared of feeling, that we are not scared of fear. So that spaciousness is very important. Taking it slow, taking it easy, integrating and really being present with it. And even that same I feel after sessions, you know, after working with people and having had some deep releases and having or plant medicine ceremonies or whatever, however it is, you know, that we have healed, so that it can really integrate and we're not going back into trapping the trauma, if there's still some residues there, back into the body and back into our neural nets, right? So then the final step, the fourth step, and by the way as well, I wouldn't say that this is in a chronological order. I mean, maybe you'll already do some of the fourth step meanwhile, but more or less it's good to understand that fourth step is the reflection, the receiving deeper understanding of why this happened. What is the teaching? What is the lesson? What is it showing me? Where is it guiding me? Where am I out of alignment with my life, in my life? Or, you know, what can it be? Maybe you are not necessarily out of alignment, but maybe it's just guiding you into a different direction. So that's as well a very important step, and you can only come to that step truly from your heart to understand after you have done the healing work. And you know, for me as well, when that happened, when and whoever's just joining or listening, I was sharing how I got marked this the other day, and it was like quite traumatic, and how I've been healing it and releasing it. And so when that happened, like after that, yes, instantly as well, because I am on this path and it's my life, I as well was thinking about, okay, why is this happening? Why? And I knew that I'm not going to have the answer right now. The answer is going to come, but I was kind of like, well, why? And I was talking to Gabriel and my partner, and we're like, wow, you know, and the other people that were there, we were like a group of people. So I was like, okay, it's fine. We talked about it a bit, like, yes, it's important. That's, by the way, as well, another thing is I haven't made it as a step, but generally sharing, talking about it, I think is really important. So you can, it helps you to process. You don't even need to find a solution or an answer, but just talking about it. So we talked about it and we're like, okay, let's just let it go for now. And then I went into the 3 first steps of doing the healing. And then after I have really done the healing, I can understand, I have more wisdom, I have more space in my body. I am connected back to the divine, to my heart. And from that space, I can get the messages of why. And in the spiritual world and community, often people just jump to step 4 because they find like a spiritual solution. I mean, honestly, the other day a friend of mine was sharing about, you know, her father had passed away and it was very traumatic and he had cancer, and she's like in the spiritual community and all that. And like when she shared with me, I was like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, how are you feeling? And then she said, yeah, thank you so much for asking, because so many people were just telling me like, okay, now it's time to let go. He is in the heavens now and his soul has passed on, blah, blah, bullshit. Like, honestly, yes, of course he is, but come on, let's be freaking human first and feel the things and feel compassion, and you know, I can't even judge those people, because I know why they're reacting that way. It's because they are disconnected to their compassion. And why are you disconnected to your compassion? Is because you haven't yourself yet dove into those feelings, understanding from this deeply embodied heart level how things like that may feel. And it just instantly triggers compassion, and instantly triggers like, wow, are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, I don't even think about, oh yeah, you know, this is obviously a teaching here. What does it mean to you, you know? Like, no. And then after, when the emotions have been processed, when then we go into the higher picture, it's again integrating the divinity in our human. That's really my work. That's what I do, integrating them both. So, you know, this is really important, and this is how I guide people when I work with them. And in my experience, you know, yeah, I haven't necessarily trained a modality that is focused on trauma, but I have, apart from having been healing my own trauma since over, you know, maybe 7-10 years, like, worked in spaces like in deep spaces, like with plant medicines, on taking people on retreats for almost 3 weeks, holding space, guiding them into the traumas in a safe container, so they can actually go there, they can feel safe, and they can process it. Because as well, I don't want to go too much into plant medicines, but what happens a lot is that people are not really qualified. They don't know how to hold space. They don't know how to create a safe and clear container, and it just opens up. People get traumatized. They don't know how to get out of it. So it's really important that if you choose to work with someone on healing, on deep healing, make sure they know their shit, because if they don't, it can actually just re-traumatize you. It's really important. Like, research that. So I know I have done that. I have worked with, you know, clients, with people, helping them, guiding them into the trauma, and doing it in a very, very safe and streamlined way, to be able to open up, to be able to release the emotions, and then to be able, from that space, to learn from it, to find healing, forgiveness, love, and then create something new. Because at the end, it is an old story trapped in our bodies that we do not need anymore, and that it's constantly playing out. So that's what it is, you know. It's a blocked energy, a blocked emotion. So it's something that I do in my work on a very, very deep level, and very, very fine streamed. I don't even know if that's a word, but I think you understand where I'm coming from here. All right. So, okay, everyone, let me know how the 4 steps, how does this feel to you? Does this feel like, is it giving you a little bit more structure and understanding in your life on how to go ahead with this, and how to do this work on a deeper level? And I understand, like, many of the people that are working with me, they already know, they have done this work, but then it yet goes like into another level of depth. Obviously, it's different when you have someone who's holding space for you, and who is almost like maybe putting you sometimes a little bit into the corner of like, okay, hey, no, this needs to be looked at, please, now let's do it. Okay, so yes, getting some yeses here. Thank you. If you're watching the replay, please #replay and let me know. Let me know if this is helpful. I want to know how this is feeling. Even if you want to share something on a deeper level, please go ahead and do so. And if you are ready to go on to the next step of your evolution, and to really, really heal the pieces that are blocking you from creating the life that you want, from living in deeper connection, from living rooted in your bodies, feeling supported by Mother Earth, feeling safe, and all of those beautiful things, please let me know. Write a comment here saying, I am ready. Even if you're watching the hashtag, I am ready. and I'll reach out to you so we can book a free soul clarity call. And in that call, I'll support you to map out a beautiful, magical, divine journey that is going to help you to release all the things that are blocking you in a very streamlined and effortless and powerful, clear way, as well by being your divine reflection, by holding a very sacred, safe space for you, and by pinpointing the blind spots. That's something I'm really good at. It's something I love to do, and I'm just very upfront. It's almost like I don't even have the choice. I mean, especially in my personal work with people, where I'm like, okay, this is here, and honestly, you know, we gotta work on this, we gotta look at this. So, you know, if that's something that you wish to have in your life, like this very, very clear supportive container that's finally gonna help you to burst through the things, let me know, okay? So I am ready in the comments. I reach out to you. I'm going to as well put the link into the description of this title of today. So if you want, you can go ahead into there and book your free call right away with me. Thank you all so much for being here today, for tuning in with me. I'm so grateful to see you, grateful to share my story. Thank you as well for listening. I feel already much better. I feel like I'm slowly through the portal. Even yesterday, Gabriel and I went back to the spot in the river where it happened, so we could breathe with the earth and do some deeper healing. So it was really beautiful, but there's been a lot of learning here, of course. And yeah, so that's all. We'll speak soon, and sending you much love to all of you. Bye, 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 bye. Yes, thank you for your waves, and thank you for your love.